Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Thomas of Woodstock, and we get to hear from Thomas of Woodstock to finish off Act 3, Scene 2 today, which is a scene that tells us a whole bunch of stuff that we already knew, but from the other perspective, because we, the audience, know it, but the characters don't necessarily know it. So in Act 3, Scene 1, remember, we saw Richard with his flatterers coming up with the whole blank charter plan and showing off their fancy clothes, and then Richard wanted to show Westminster to Anne. And at the beginning of Act 3, Scene 2, we get to see the uncles learning about all that same stuff that we just saw Richard doing. So they're talking about the fancy clothes that everybody's now wearing and these huge feasts that they're having. And they're like, how are they paying for that? And then Cheney is like, well, there's this whole blank charter plan, which all of the uncles are sort of mortified by. So they each go to their respective homes or respective constituencies to try to calm the people and negotiate peace and prevent an uprising and all of those sorts of things. And after they leave, a messenger comes in, and there's a bit where this messenger mistakes Thomas of Woodstock for like the servant, because Thomas dresses very plain, which we know, so he's trying to get Thomas to take his horse and take care of his horse, which Thomas does for a little while and talks philosophy with the horse, but then he does ask for payment, and he gives that money to his own serving man, who eventually takes care of the horse. And the messenger is terribly, terribly embarrassed when he learns that this is actually the Duke of Gloucester, the man that he's looking for to try to give this message to. And the message is that the king wants Thomas to go back to court because Richard actually secretly knows that the people are not going to be happy about this whole blank charter thing, but he knows that they love Thomas. So he figures if Thomas is nearby while the blank charter thing is going on, then maybe the people won't mutiny. So Richard has sent this messenger to go collect Thomas, the Duke of Gloucester, and bring him back to court. So the messenger finally gets to deliver his message and says, the king is asking for you back at court. And Thomas says, is that your message, sir? I must refuse it then. My English plainness will not suit that place. The court's too fine for me. My service here will stand in better stead to quench the fire those blanks have made. I would they were all burnt. Or he were hanged that first devised them, sir. They stir the country so. I dare not come. And so excuse me, sir. If the king think it ill, he thinks amiss. I am plain Thomas still. The rest I'll tell ye as ye sit at meat. Furnish a table, Cheney, call for wine. Come, sir, ye shall commend me to the king. Tell him I'll keep these parts in peace to him. So this is Thomas saying, no, I'm not going back to court. I don't belong there. I don't fit there. And the best way that I can try to keep the peace for this very stupid thing that Richard is doing, that everybody knows is a stupid thing that Richard is doing, the best way that I can keep the peace is to be here amongst the people to try to extinguish some of the flames that whatever idiot ignited with this whole blank charter plan in the first place. He's like, I don't belong at court. I need to be here with the people to try to mend some of this. And then he's like, you know what? I'll tell you more, but like, come on in and have dinner first. And he tells Cheney to set a table and set the dinner. He's like, I'll tell you more about all this if we go in and have some dinner. So when this monologue is done, the scene ends too. They go off to have supper. So we have Woodstock, plain Thomas of Woodstock, is openly defiant of the king at this point. He was a bit before when he cracked his staff and said, I don't want my titles going to any of your idiotic flatterers. But now he's also openly defying an order to come back to court to try to quell some of these potential flames. So is that going to be good for him? Do we think? I don't know. Come on back tomorrow for more and we'll find out. Mwah.